Hello and welcome to The Cutting Room, the movie show from all the right movies. I'm John, and the two little Fonzies here with me are Westy.
Don't fucking Westy me, John. Don't fucking Westy me, all
right? And Matt.
Hello, normal one for me.
Makes a change.
Yeah.
This time round, it is an icon of 90s Hollywood on The Cutting Room. We're going all in on Quentin Tarantino and his generation-defining classic, Pulp Fiction. Mm-hmm. So, Matthew Fonzarelli.
That's me.
Why are we talking Pulp Fiction?
It was just absolutely inescapable at the time, and love him or hate him, Tarantino was always worth talking about. Always inspires discussion, debate, opinions, and with Pulp Fiction, I think this is possibly just his most packed film. Like, everything he's ever wanted to do or talk about is in here, because no one was going to say no to him at this point in his career after Reservoir Dogs. So, performances, dialogue, references, loads to unpick in this. Should be great fun.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Tarantino myself. I like all of his films. I mean, to varying degrees, obviously. Yeah. But it probably started here with Pulp Fiction. It was huge at the time when it came out, a cultural phenomenon, and it caused controversy as well because of the violence in the film.
Yeah. Violence, violent, violence, violence, violence.
I mean, in 1994, this was like a cinematic bomb going off, and it's been parodied on The Simpsons as well, so you know it's iconic.
Obviously, yeah.
Donuts, I got donuts, Hey, I know you!
And Tarantino, bit of a madman, and always fun to talk about him.
Yes, it is.
And Westy, why Pulp Fiction?
Because it's just cool. It's probably one of the coolest films ever made, and effortlessly so. I mean, that poster, which was the VHS cover.
Love it.
You see that? I'm watching that. The font, that big yellow font of Pulp Fiction, you see that. It's brilliant. That's just so iconic anyway. And it's just, he's just having so much fun with this. Like Matt said, there's so many levels to it. There's so many layers to it. You can analyse this film and it actually makes sense from a kind of an educational point of view when you study film. It's that deep. It is just brilliant. Yeah, I can't wait to talk about it. But it's my favourite Tarantino film. Okay. And yeah, it's absolutely fantastic piece of work.
Great. So, who wants a Royale with cheese?
I didn't go to Burger King.
Let's talk Pulp Fiction. In the seedy underbelly of 90s Los Angeles, a series of events bring together the worlds of two hitmen, a gangster's wife, and an aging boxer, leading to separate tales of salvation, second chances, and redemption. And making me want the cheeseburger.
Every time.
Yeah. And a milkshake.
The cornerstone of any nutritious breakfast. Released in 1994, Pulp Fiction was written and directed by Quentin Tarantino, produced by a band apart in Jersey Films, distributed by Miramax, and stars John Travolta as Vincent Vega, Samuel L. Jackson as Jules Winfield, Uma Thurman as Mia Wallace, and Bruce Willis as Butch Coolidge.
Yeah.
So then, as ever, we're going all in on the film, and we'll be talking about the direction, the writing, the cast, our own highlights, and then we'll give Pulp Fiction the rating out of 10 treatment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're starting with the director, and one of the biggest directors of his generation, never on the QT, it's Tarantino. Pulp Fiction was directed by the one and only Quentin Jerome Tarantino. Just Tarantino's second feature, Pulp Fiction came on the back of the huge critical acclaim that he received for his debut, Reservoir Dogs. Pulp Fiction, though, Westy.
Yeah.
I know you're going to have a lot to say about this one.
A lot of dialogue.
This doesn't sound like the usual mindless, boring, getting to know you chit-chat.
Speaking of that, it's just, I always talk about confidence in directors, and that's what really shines here, and it always shines for me. The confidence that he's got to write this down and stick to it to the letter. Very, very limited ad-libbing in this. There's very, very limited space for it, and there's absolutely no need for it. The long dialogue sequences, you've got, Butch in the cab. That's absolutely brilliant. And then there's a black and white background. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why? It's just great. Just a nod to all the kind of movies that he really loves, and he knows what's cool. Obviously, the monologue in the car at the start, that's only 3 shots. That's coverage of Vincent, that's coverage of Jules, and that's just one of the two of them. You would expect a shot through the windscreen, from the back, so much coverage from like a second-time director, and it's 3 shots. So it's that amount of confidence that I really love. And again, when you read into this from like a film analysis point of view, the amount of yellow that's used in this film, specifically in the gold watch sequence, is absolutely unparalleled. You've got a gold watch, obviously. You've got the gold key, butcher's jacket, gold yellow chair in the motel room. You've got a gold kettle when he gets back to his apartment. So all of these things, he just brings them together. And when you see them there, just this familiarity to the whole look of it, it's geniusly done.
And you love a yellow font, Westy, don't you?
I love a yellow font. I like yellow. I can't wear it, but I do like yellow, and so does Tarantino. I think that's why he really sells it for me.
Yeah. I mean, it is just his second feature, and Andrei Sekula, the DP from Reservoir Dogs, returned. Sally Menke, the editor from Reservoir Dogs, returned.
I knew from meeting Quentin that it was going to be something really special.
And already there's some classic Tarantino visuals in Pulp Fiction. So we get the car trunk POV shot, started in Reservoir Dogs, but it's here as well. This is also where QT's foot fetish gets ramped up. Mia Wallace is barefoot for almost all of her scenes, and Esmeralda Villalobos, Butcher's cab driver, there's a close-up of her bare feet too.
Yeah.
Don't need to take the shoes off to dance to the...
No.
Don't need to.
What we're going to talk about a bit more now, though, is what I think is Tarantino's main stylistic influence for the film, and that's the French New Wave of the 1960s.
Right.
I mean, Tarantino's own production company was called A Band Apart, named after a Jean-Luc Godard film, and that Godard film also features a famous dance scene in a restaurant. Coincidence? Surely not.
No.
Long tracking shots are a feature of French New Wave, where the camera seems to follow characters around, pioneered by auteurs like Godard and Francois Truffaut, and Tarantino does that here throughout the film.
Yeah.
There was another French Wave filmmaker called Jean-Pierre Melville. He directed Les Samurai with Alain Delon, and he said the characters' clothes should be their suit of armour.
Yeah.
And from Jules and Vincent's hitmen uniforms through Lance's bathrobe, Jimmy's bathrobe, and Mr. Wolf's tux at ATRM, every character is dressed very specifically by Tarantino. And I mean, Mia Wallace, the visual influence of Godard and Anna Karina on her is very obvious, I think.
Yeah.
Same hair, same clothes.
Exactly.
Yeah, very much.
I mean, there's lots of things going on with Pulp Fiction that all contribute to its very strong identity, and I think the French New Wave influence definitely contributes to that.
Yeah, it's his mix of stuff. It's French New Wave, and then you've got the introduction of Mia Wallace, which is complete lift from the Warriors. It's like,
Yeah, it is, yeah.
All works, all combines together to work. Though.
I don't know how he does it.
And Matt, I'll allow you to retort.
Well, thank you.
Tarantino on Pulp Fiction?
Well, it's like any Tarantino film. It's just taking a trip through his head and seeing like what there is there to rummage about in and what he's obsessed of. A lot. There's nothing in here that's throwaway or doesn't have a point. When you see Lance watching the TV eating cereal, I can't say for certain. I'm willing to bet every penny I have that cereal brand was very precisely chosen by Tarantino.
Oh, it didn't exist in 1994. It was from when Tarantino was a kid, I think,
Oh, well, there you go then.
And that's what I'm going to tell this fucking asshole. Right.
Yeah.
Didn't you used to watch French New Wave in the middle of the night with dressing gown on eating cereals, man?
Yeah, but try not to talk about that anymore.
Oh, okay.
Different person
Sorry.
back then. Different person back then.
My bad.
Yeah, sorry, moved on from that phase of my life.
Fruity Brutes.
Yeah. Decided to get a girlfriend instead. And it's the same when Fabian's watching what she says is some motorcycle movie.
A motorcycle movie. I'm not sure the name.
She doesn't know its name, but I bet Tarantino does. Again, I bet he shows that very precisely.
It's the Losers, isn't it?
Losers, yeah, that's the one. And there's just so many references, you know, like you say, John, he's a huge fan of Godard, and Breathless in particular is stamped all over this, because if you know that film, there's so many scenes where the characters just hang out and talk.
C'est quoi faire la tête?
And they do the same in Pulp Fiction. Like, I don't know if there's any dialogue in this that actually advances the plot.
Why do we feel it's necessary to yak about bullshit in order to be comfortable?
The scene where Vince buys the drugs from Lance, the way it's framed, it's really casual. Like, you just see Lance reflected in the mirror. Vince is off-centre. The camera's quite awkward, but that's very Godard. That's very much about not capturing the perfect shot, but it's about capturing the scene. And that's the influence he brings to that. And it's the same in Jack Rabbit Slims. Like, who else in the 1990s was talking about Douglas Sirk? You know, a director famous for big, weepy melodramas from the 1950s.
Steak. Oh, yeah, there's Douglas Sirk steaks.
Jack Rabbit Slims is just Quentin Tarantino's brain, isn't it?
It is. If he could live anywhere, that's where he wants to live.
Slot cars and everything.
Yeah. Just go there every night. But if you look it up, Tarantino's a huge fan of Douglas Sirk. He loves him. So, of course, he gets a shout out here. So, this, for me, it's very much, this is what I love as a statement from Tarantino.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just his personality must help. When you see footage of Tarantino on the set, his passion is like tangible.
It's very infectious, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what I really want is, want you, the coffee, and the donut, boom, right into the windshield.
And it's not just the visuals as well, it's everything, and especially the music in this, because the music is as cool. It sounds as cool as it looks, which is pretty hard to pull off. But Mizzaloo, like I said, by Dick Dale, is absolutely massive. And so recognisable now. He's almost stolen it. Comanche by the Revels. Surf Rider by the Lively Ones. Bullwinkle Part 2 by the Centurions. What on earth? He's actually got a jukebox in his house. I just need to go over and just listen to all this stuff. It's just incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, there's loads of surf music. No surfing, which is outrageous.
Big Kahuna Burger as well.
I know, yeah. But you're right, there's so many moments where the music elevates the scene, but also the scene elevates the music as well.
Yeah.
They're totally intertwined. And no one is thinking of using these songs except for Tarantino.
Nah.
It's one of the great soundtracks for me, no question.
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing, yeah.
And as well, obviously, as we all know, he often cameos in his own films, and he's obviously Jimmy trying to help Jules with the Bonnie situation.
Don't fucking Jimmy me, Jules, okay? Don't fucking Jimmy me.
But originally, he'd wanted either Jeff Goldblum, Steve Buscemi, or Bill Paxton for the role, but they're all unavailable. Right. They couldn't do the date. So he went to Eric Stoltz and said, look, you've got the choice. You can have Lance or Jimmy.
I don't know you. Who is this?
And Stoltz obviously went for Lance, leaving Tarantino to fill the Jimmy role.
Right. I think any of those guys would have probably been better than Tarantino as Jimmy. To be fair, though, I've seen him a lot worse than he is here.
Well, that's it.
Yeah. Django Unchained.
The fuck are you talking about?
At least he's not Australian in this.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly, yeah.
You got something to say, mate. You say it.
Also, Lawrence Bender, the producer, he makes a small appearance too, if you know where.
He's in the diner at the end, isn't he?
He's in the diner, isn't he?
Shoved onto the floor.
Yeah, he's in the diner in the final scene. Ringo, Tim Roth, puts a gun in his face and insults him, and it's pretty funny.
Fuck you doing? You fucking up me, get down!
Yeah, that's
So as we know, this debuted in 1994 at Cannes, and it went down an absolute storm, and it won the Palme d'Or, which is the biggest award you can get. But have you seen the footage of it? Because as they're walking up, Tarantino gets heckled. And she's in the back row and she's like, Pulp Fiction is shit!
all right.
Is that all you got to say?
Wow.
So Tarantino, in all of his wisdom, just went straight up, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Just won the Palme d'Or, so maybe pipe down.
Yeah, get fucked.
It lost out at the Oscars, though, but it was nominated. You know what won Best Picture that year?
Yeah, Forrest Gump.
94 Forrest Gump, yeah.
Forrest Gump won Best Picture, Robert Zemeckis Best Director. I think if the vote was cast again, it might be a different outcome.
Yeah, they weren't ready for it then, but the kids are going to love it.
Yeah, today, Shawshank would win.
Lord, it's a miracle!
She was.
I was going to say Shawshank was like
Also
that,
good.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
So QT is director of Pulp Fiction, full of his trademarks, and made a 90s classic.
Yeah, it's the invention of his trademarks, which is what makes it so exciting.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And that's it for part one. Come back for more, though, as we've got the writing, the cast, our highlights, and our ratings to get into yet. You fellas coming back for the next part?
Hey, it's all cool in the game.
Yeah.